Hey, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to kickstart this video and vlog with you guys this week for Summerween. This is a readathon hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads every single summer to celebrate summer and Halloween together. She also has been doing Winterween, which is so much fun too, having a little bit of Halloween, a slice of Halloween in the wintertime as well. There is activity prompts, or kind of like a bingo spread, if you will, book prompts, and also Instagram prompts if you did participate. I will probably be mentioning some of them throughout the readathon, although I don't always participate in every single Instagram prompt. Might try to do a couple of them, or maybe just more so in my stories, but it's really hard for me to organize my feed. I do stick to the book prompts though, and always have a really good time reading strictly horror and thriller, because usually one of the prompts is always to read a thriller. I am technically on day 2 of Summerween, so I am going to throw it back to yesterday for you guys to see my TBR when I was less put together and just kind of chilling. But I talked to you guys a little bit about like my TBR, and then I did a little bit of reading yesterday. It just wasn't overall like a full activity Summerween day. I was more so trying to get my shit together, get my TBR together, try to plan out my week so that hopefully this vlog is a little bit more entertaining. So yeah, yesterday was kind of a casual day, but I did sit down and film my TBR, so I will share that with you guys. But shout out to Gabby for hosting this Summerween every year. It is so much fun, and the prompts and stuff are always so creative, and I have a lot of fun with it. Go follow her. I'm sure you already do if you have found my channel, but I'm still going to be tagging her down below, and we'll be going and checking out her vlogs as well, and hopefully some others. So if you have filmed for Summerween, please let me know. I would love to come check out your vlog too. Hey you guys, it is Friday the 5th. It is the start of Summerween. I'm super excited, but today has not been very eventful so far, and I don't really think it's going to be a super eventful day. So I just decided to sit down and at least show you my TBR, even if this isn't really my introduction to Summerween. It is day 1. I've been trying to figure out my TBR and get everything together and try to think of some fun things to do for Summerween today. I know this week I really want to have a river day, but we are expecting quite a bit of rain for most of Summerween. So we are going to be cooped up a little bit, which is fine. We can have a horror movie like marathon and stuff like that when it's raining, but it does dampen the mood a little bit as far as being able to like get out for the summer part of it. But with that being said, I have some really fun picks for the readathon, so I thought I would show you guys them. Besides that, I'm excited for some of the other prompts that are going to be like, you know, make a fall tree baked good. Just reading outside in general, just finding the day to do that, and maybe, you know, doing some extra activities while we're at it. In the middle of Summerween every year is my husband's birthday, so I do kind of hit pause a little bit on the reading, but we still do something fun for his birthday, so I'll try to vlog that as well. But today the most exciting thing I have for you guys is the TBR that I'm building, and hopefully I stick with throughout the next 7 days. So the first one is my copy of Paul Tremblay's Disappearance at Devil's Rock. This is about a 13-year-old that goes missing. His mother, Elizabeth, and her young daughter, Kate, struggled to comprehend her son's disappearance. The police have no leads. Tommy's 2 friends may not be telling the whole truth about the night they were hanging out in the Borderland State Park near the landmark local teens call Devil's Rock before he vanished. Strange events follow. Elizabeth believes she sees Tommy's ghost in her bedroom. Kate and the other residents claim a figure peers through their windows at night, and random pages torn from Tommy's journal mysteriously appear, revealing an introverted teenager obsessed with the loss of his father, killed in a drunk driving accident a decade earlier, a folktale involving the devil and the Borderland woods, and a horrific incident that Tommy believed connected them all. As the search grows more desperate and the implications of what happened become more sinister, no one is prepared for the shocking truth about Tommy's disappearance at Devil's Rock. It just seems like such a fun horror for the summertime, so this was actually for my prompt for a book set in the summertime. I don't know for sure if it's set in the summertime. It just has that vibe to it, so I'm just going with my gut, and I'm hoping that it checks out, because this is honestly, I think, my only pick that I'm thinking is in the summertime. I want to say I flipped a couple pages and it kind of seemed like maybe it could be the summertime too. We'll see, hopefully. I also have Leech by, is it Hiron? Ennes? I'm not sure. I need to look up how to pronounce the name, but this has been on my TBR for a while. I'm actually going to use this for the night sky prompt, which is kind of hard to see, but if you look closely in this like bottle, there is a night sky. So it's kind of a unique night sky one. But this seems like such a interesting read, and I hear that it's really confusing the first read through, and so usually people like to pick it up again and read it again. But I've heard mixed things about it, but usually from the people I go to for recommendations, they've really enjoyed it, so I'm hoping it'll be right up my alley. An isolated chateau as far north as north goes, the Baron's doctor has died. The doctor's replacement has a mystery to solve, discovering how the Institute lost track of one of its many bodies. For hundreds of years, the Medical Institute has grown by taking root in young minds and shaping them into doctors, replacing every human practitioner of medicine. The Institute is here to help humanity, to cure and to cut, to cradle and protect the species from the apocalyptic horrors their ancestors unleashed. In the frozen north, the Institute's body discover a competitor for its rung at the top of the evolutionary ladder. A parasite is spreading through the Baron's castle, already a dark pit of secrets, lies, violence, and fear. The two will make war on the battlefield of the body. Whichever wins, humanity will lose again. Super excited for this one. I think it's going to be a really good pick for one of the days we're cooped in on like a rainy day, for like that isolated like filling and stuff too. I think it's going to be a good creepy read. This just kind of gives beachy summer vibes. More than likely, we're going to be at the river when I read this, so not necessarily beachy, but still on the water and having a fun river day. This is The Only Survivors by Miranda. I got this last year. This one has been on my TBR since last year, and it just seems like such a good summer read that by the time it got to fall and winter, I just never reached for it or wanted to pick it up. A decade ago, two vans filled with high school seniors on a school service trip crashed into a Tennessee ravine, a tragedy that claimed the lives of multiple classmates and teachers. The 9 students who managed to escape the river that night were radically changed. A year later, after one of the survivors dies by unaliving, on the anniversary of the crash, the rest of them make a pact to come together each year to commemorate that terrible night, to keep one another safe, to hold one another accountable, or both. Their annual meeting place, a house on the Outer Banks, has long been a refuge, but by the 10th anniversary, Cassidy Bent has worked to distance herself from the tragedy and from the other survivors. She's changed her mobile number, she's blocked the others' email addresses. This year, she is determined to finally break ties once and for all, but on the day of the reunion, she receives a text with an obituary attached. Another survivor is gone. Now they are 7. And Cassidy finds herself hurtling back towards the group, wild with grief and suspicion. Almost immediately, something feels off this year. Cassidy is the first to notice when Amaya, the annual organizer, slips away, overwhelmed. This wouldn't raise alarm except for the impending storm. Suddenly, they're facing the threat of closed roads and surging waters again. Then Amaya stops responding to her phone. After all they've been through, she wouldn't willfully make them worry, would she? And as I promised long ago, each survivor will do whatever he or she can to save one another, won't they? This is going to be a good pick. I think I lined this up for my thriller pick, although I do have another thriller. But I am kind of sticking to just horror thriller genre for the whole readathon like I did last year. But I am excited for that one. I'm also going to be reading Cujo for the first time ever by Stephen King. I have watched the movie, and I of course kind of already know the gist of the story, but I have wanted to read it. I don't have a physical copy of this one. I am hoping to go thrifting and find one, but I do have the audiobook and maybe even the ebook, so this is going to probably be my prompt for read in the dark. This tale of a killer canine, man's best friend turns into his worst enemy. When sweet St. Bernard Cujo is bitten by a bat, she starts behaving oddly and becomes very aggressive. As Cujo morphs into a dangerous beast, she goes on a rampage in a small town. Stay-at-home mom Donna gets caught in Cujo's crosshairs on a fateful errand with her son, Tad. Stuck in their tiny car, Donna and Tad have a frightening showdown with the crazed animal. Now, this is the synopsis that I feel like is for the film. I'm assuming that the book is pretty close, or like the film was pretty close to the book, but that's kind of still the gist of Cujo in general. I just recently bought his newest, Do You Like It Darker, which is a book of a bunch of different short stories, and one of them is supposed to be a continuation or sequel after Cujo, and since I've never read Cujo, I was like, I kind of want to experience the read-through first before I jump into this one, but I have this one, so I really want to read it now, so this is the perfect readathon to just, like, slot Cujo in. Next up, for my 5th prompt, it was, a book with 5 letters. So I chose My Heart is a Chainsaw. This one was actually a little bit more difficult for me with books that are on my TBR that have 5 words in the title for some reason. But I've read this before, so this is going to be a reread, but I read this last year, close around the same time. I think it was a little bit more in the fall. I absolutely loved it. It is about a girl who is obsessed with like horror movies. I think it'll be a perfect pick to like read and watch horror movies throughout the day as I go. This is by Stephen Graham Jones. There is 3 books in this series now. The 3rd one just recently came out. I feel like this is going to be my reread to just refreshen my mind a little bit on the main character Jade and some of the other incidents that happened in this book. I just kind of want a fresh mind on it. So I'm hoping to have this one later on in my week, just so that maybe afterwards I can pick up the 2nd one and then the 3rd one, but either way, it would be nice just to read it and have it fresh in my mind for when I pick up the 2nd and 3rd one very soon to finish out the series. You won't find a more hardcore 80s slasher film fan than high school senior Jade Daniels. And you won't find a place less supportive of girls who wear torn t-shirts and too much eyeliner than Proof Rock. Nestled 8,000 feet up in a mountain in Idaho alongside Indian Lake, both Camp Blood, site of a massacre 50 years ago, and as of this summer, Terra Nova, a second home celebrity Camelot being carved out of a national forest. That's not the only thing that's getting carved up, though. This, Jade knows, is the start of a slasher, but what kind? Who's wearing the mask? Jade's got an encyclopedic recall of every horror movie on the shelf, but will that help her survive? Can she get a final girl trained enough to stop all this from happening? Does she even want to? Isn't a slasher exactly what her hometown deserves? I get the gist of it. She's not only horror movie slasher obsessed, but there's now a serial killer in her hometown, and she is almost like living in her own horror movie. It's a really good read. I actually cried, like, at the end of it last time, so I guess I'm going to do that to myself again. That is 5 prompts right there. I did see that the little TBR spread for Instagram has 6 prompts, so I am going to be reading a 6th one. I'm actually going to start this one today, and this is going to kind of be my just pick up whenever and read is what I'm kind of going for with this one. Since I'm just kind of adding it in, I want to kind of plan days around all these other picks and have this one kind of as like my floater that like I pick up when I can. But this has been on my TBR for so long. This is actually my friend's copy. I have her stamp on the cover that I really need to get back to her. She let me borrow this sometime last year. I've had it since last year. And I still haven't read it, and it's one of her favorite books. She's recommended it to me over and over. I've never read anything by Freida McFadden, and this is The Housemaid, one of her most popular ones. So I am excited to finally get to it. It is my 2nd thriller pick. Every day, I clean the Winchesters' beautiful house top to bottom. I pick up their daughter from school, and I cook a delicious meal for the whole family before heading up to eat alone in my tiny room on the top floor. I try to ignore how Nina makes a mess just to watch me clean it up, how she tells strange lies about her own daughter, and how her husband Andrew seems more broken every day. But as I look into Andrew's handsome brown eyes so full of pain, it's hard not to imagine what it would be like to live Nina's life. The walk-in closet, the fancy car, the perfect husband. I try on one of Nina's pristine white dresses once just to see what it's like, but she soon finds out, and by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it is far too late. but I reassure myself, the Winchesters don't know who I really am. They don't know what I'm capable of. I am excited to get to this one. Like I said, I'm going to start it tonight and hopefully make a chunk into it. And then just kind of read it throughout the week whenever I have the time. If I finish one of my other ones during that day, so on and so forth. I will keep you guys posted. But that is my TBR. I'm also hoping to get to some horror movies this week and some different horror activities if I can. But I will see you guys very soon. Day 2. So last night, as you guys can see, I started The Housemaid and I was like, oh, this is gonna be my little like book that kind of floats throughout the week. I'm gonna read like a chunk on the first night, and then the next day I'm gonna start my next book, and then like each day I kind of am going to have like a book for that day. And in between, if I finish a book or if I have the extra time, I'm gonna pick up The Housemaid. I enjoyed the ride of reading this book. But what I will say is what motivated me to actually sit down and finish this book last night, which was not in the plans, was the fact that I realized I am currently wrapping up a vlog that I really want to post for my next week. Like, oh my gosh, I'm still like halfway through that book, so I need to try to fit that book in to my week as well, in between Summerween reads. So I kind of had a little freak out moment of not getting that done. My timeline. Anyways, I finished this all last night because I was like, I'm not going to really be able to have a floating book when I have that one too. So let's talk about The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. This was one of my thriller picks. It's kind of like I said, my floating book and my extra book to make the 6th of the template. But this is, I already read you guys all the synopsis, but this was the one about the girl who goes to work at the Winchester house. So it is a husband, a wife, their daughter, and then they're bringing in an in-home nanny housekeeper type of job. Oh my goodness, there is so much already spoiled in the synopsis of this book that I probably would have recommended going into this blindly without reading the synopsis. And just know it is about a woman who moves in with this family and is their like housekeeper, and things go south. And it's a thriller. But it's so hard to talk about this without spoiling anything. What I will say is I went back and forth with the main character, Millie. She is the new nanny housekeeper who is moving in with them. She has a little bit of a past herself, and it's almost like this character is trying to be like relatable in a sense, but also like at the same time she has like this dark past. So what's nice about her is that she is more down to earth. She's seeing how much this family has and how much they're worth and how lightly they take that. Like, she's, from the get-go, she's just like, they don't understand how blessed and lucky they are to have everything they have. So those things about her make her very likable, but she makes so many decisions that just throw me through a loop of like, girl, did you not see things coming a mile away? Like, it's just kind of like one of those thrillers where I just kept like face palming, like, come on, you know? The author does make it a point to where you're realizing how desperate this girl is. It is one of those types of stories where she is living in her car, and so she is kind of desperate to have that like job that gets her back on her feet. But oh my gosh. With that being said, I feel like with how the story was laid out, there was a couple of things that happens in the first half of the book that, besides me face palming at this character, I also just didn't like the tropes that were put into it. And I know that they're there for a reason, but at the same time, I didn't like it. I don't usually enjoy those type of tropes. So the first, like, at least 50%, if not more of the book, I just kind of struggled with it. I didn't really care for where it was going or anything like that. What I will say, though, is the second half of the book really picked up, but by the second half, I had already guessed everything. Everything that was going to happen. And I feel like if you have read certain books that have a twist like this one does, you would probably pick up on it as well. There's one in mind, but I'm kind of afraid to say it because I feel like it might spoil something for you. But this certain book that I have in mind, I think if I hadn't read that, maybe this one would have had more of a shock factor. And it's not the one that people say was, this one was like written like. I have not read that one. I forgot what that one's called. Probably know what it's about now though. But it is not that one. It's actually another thriller that came out before that one, I believe. And it just kind of has around the same type of ordeal going on that I seen it coming from a mile away. There was one moment, I think, in this book that actually was like, oh, that's really cool. I actually didn't see that coming, which was kind of cool. But it wasn't a huge detail that it just kind of made the rest of the book, like, it was just so predictable for me. But the last half of the book was a lot more enjoyable. I did enjoy the ride of it and maybe not hate the first half of the book as much as I was, just because of the trope that was kind of going on. Overall, I think I would give this book a 3. But I will say, I'm almost, I feel like, at a 4 because of how it ended. I actually really liked the epilogue, and how the story wrapped up into it being able to be a sequel. And I think the third one just came out too. So I don't know, maybe I will pick up the next 2. We'll see. But all of that to say, the last thing I do have to say, because if I end up giving this book a 4-star, I think I am landing at a 3. And this is why. The first half of this book has, there's so many ways I feel like an author can make you not like a character. Like if she is trying to make you not like a certain character in any series, there are so many ways to go about that. Commenting repeatedly every other page for a paragraph about somebody's looks, and in particular their weight, is just a no-go for me. It infuriates me. It makes me so mad. That I just have to state that, because I feel like if somebody out there is really triggered by that, or is just not a fan of it either, this may be a book to steer away from, because it literally infuriated me so much. I feel like I would give this another whole star if it wasn't for that. That's how infuriated I was reading it. But all of that to say, I didn't dislike it. I did like it. I do wish it was done a little bit differently to where it wasn't as predictable for me. And like I said, that trope and some of the negative things that were said about a woman just infuriated me. So since I left you guys pretty abruptly earlier, my camera died. I thought I would check in now. We left and went thrifting for a little bit. We hit up about, I think, 3 different places. I went to like my usual book spot, and then we tried a new place, which I only found one thing at. And then we went to one other one, and there was a lot of duds today. I'll show you guys what I got. I kind of just picked up a couple more like Nicholas Sparks books. Maybe one of these days I'll get to the Nicholas Sparks books. And then I picked up another really cool old paperback of Dracula. And oh, there was a thriller that I picked up that I read years ago, and I think I still own it on my Kindle, but I was like, I don't have a physical copy of this, so it was $1, so I was like, I'm gonna grab it. But my goal was to find the book that I'm reading today, which is Cujo by Stephen King. It is my pick for today. We were going to just go thrifting for a little bit and then kind of have a chill day. We had to pick up groceries, and then we ended up going out to eat, chill out again until fireworks tonight. So on the 4th, because today is, yeah, the 6th, on the 4th, we went and parked like we normally do for like our city fireworks after our regular like 4th of July things. We just kind of go and just hang out with family. We don't really have like huge 4th of July plans or anything, but we normally do like to go and just park our car and watch the city's fireworks. And so we did, and it was delayed like an hour. And then they like posted it on like social media that they were rescheduling it to Saturday night. So we all packed up. Thankfully, like there was other people in the area that were shooting off fireworks that night, so we still got to see some, but it wasn't the cities. But we went tonight and got to see the cities, and it was really good. The fireworks show is usually just around like 30 minutes, but it's like full-on fireworks the whole time, and the finale is always like a huge bang. Like there's so many fireworks at the end, and usually we sit in the car because the past years the boys have been really little, and with mosquitoes and stuff like that, it's just really hard. And usually it's really packed, but since they had rescheduled it, I think a lot of people had plans or just didn't want to show back up, so there was like nobody where we were at parked, and we got out with our chairs and with our bug spray and stuff, and it was actually really nice. There was a nice little breeze, so we got to relax. I did start Cujo. Fortunately, did not find a paperback or copy of Cujo, which was the whole point of me really wanting to go today. James wanted to go and look around, but I was like, I really want to find a, just an old paperback of Cujo. And yeah, I did not see one anywhere. So unfortunately, I don't have a physical of Cujo. I could probably try to see if my library has it, but usually for some reason, my local branch never has like any Stephen King like available for some reason. I always have to like request it and have it like, put on hold for me. So anyways, I'm just doing this one audiobook style through Libby. I was able to still get it through Libby, and I'm about 2 hours in, and it says I have about 12 hours left. I am listening to it a little sped up because I'm able to do so with this narrator, and I haven't made it too far into it so far. I feel like it's going to be the type of book where I'm not going to enjoy the characters as much, which is pretty common with me with Stephen King, but I'm not mad about it so far. Just kind of just here listening while doing other things. I did take my pictures earlier for my TBR, so I'm going to post those. It's so late. We got back home from fireworks, and then we lit off some fountains, and the boys did like some sparklers and stuff out front. And now they're chilling, and we're gonna get a snack and probably put on a movie, but I think we're just gonna watch like a Harry Potter movie or something, because we were rewatching those. So I might listen to Cujo for a little bit just so I can make a little bit more progress, because I have quite a bit to go on this book. It's a lot beefier than I thought it was now that I see how long the audiobook is, but that's the check-in for today. It was somewhat eventful. Oh, I'm going to show you guys what I got from the thrift store. Just a couple of books. I found a copy of The Couple Next Door by Sherry Lapina, and I read this years ago. I have it on my Kindle, but I didn't have a physical copy of it, and I remember really liking that thriller. I also got A Message in a Bottle, which I don't believe I have. I was trying to look at my notes, and I didn't have this one or this one, so now I do. I love the cover of this one with the full moon. It'll focus. So pretty. And then this really cool old paperback of Dracula. So now I have two. I really like my other one too. This one's cool too.